Hi everybody, I'm Tim Scarlett from Michigan Technological University. I'm an archaeologist here in the Department of Social Sciences, and I'm here to ask for donations in support of an interdisciplinary student research project for undergraduate students in my archaeological sciences laboratory course. Every year I teach this course, or every other year, and it is a chance for students to do discovery-based or project-based learning engagements with different laboratory sciences and bring them to bear on archaeological problems. So every time I do this, I get this interdisciplinary group of students who pick projects from the archaeological literature that they want to get engaged with. This year, I've got a fascinating group of 3 students on one team that have chosen to get involved in some really revolutionary science in studying the deep time history of human use of the Lake Superior Basin and the copper mining of the copper district in Lake Superior in Michigan's copper country. They want to grab a couple of threads of research in archaeological science and bring them together, helping people doing research and doing some new stuff as a part of that. And so we need just about $4,000, a little more than $4,000 to make this happen. As an example, the first thing that fascinated them were a group of studies by a team of researchers originally from the University of Pittsburgh who have since gone out and gotten jobs at universities around the country. David Pompagnani now at Kansas State, and Byron Steinman now at the University of Minnesota at Duluth, along with a group of people, a group of collaborators, have been doing studies of lake sediments in cores in Lake Superior. And in those sediment cores, they look at metallurgical traces of things like lead and copper, which correlate, they believe, they argue, with the history of human land use in the Lake Copper District. And if you look at their articles, there's all kinds of information about them in the comments down below. If you look at some of their articles, many of which are available open access, you'll see that they are showing what they believe to be peaks and valleys in mining activity going back more than 8,000 or 9,000 years. The oldest metallurgical tradition on the planet, among the oldest metallurgical traditions on the planet here. As they do that work, they're able to generate plots like this in different lakes from long cores of sediment, showing variations in the volume of metals liberated into the atmosphere that end up deposited in the local watershed. They've done this work at places like Lake Manganese and on Isle Royal, and they seem to show this pattern occurring over and over. Very much localized mining activity in history. And it's fascinating because it's the first independent measure of mining activity from antiquity we have to compare with other archaeological studies in this region. Now, our students reached out to these researchers, and in particular, both David Pompagnani and Byron Steinman. They were welcome to join in and help out. They went to University of Minnesota Duluth's Large Lakes Observatory lab, and they were working with the lake core sediments there. They've given us a subset of samples that the students are in the process now of analyzing, counting fragments of charcoal to look at fire history and things like that. We need help to get the radiocarbon dates necessary that allow us to tie all these lake levels all these sediment levels as they go down in the lake's bottom to actual chronological dates. And so one of the first things we're asking for is help with funds to defer the cost of accelerator mass spectrometry dates. That's being done by the help of the Radiocarbon Collaborative here at Michigan Tech. It's a collaborative relationship that Michigan Tech has with the U.S. Forest Service and with UC Irvine's Keck Accelerator Lab to process AMS dates and make this information available to researchers. Again, in the comments, there's all kinds of information and links about that. The second thread, though, that our students want to pull into this collaboration is to test some newly developing research strategies, in particular dealing with paleofecal stanol compounds, as they also appear in those lake sediments at different levels. Humans when they eat things as omnivores, we eat a lot of different kinds of foods, including cholesterols. We all know generally what cholesterols are. Through the digestion process in the human biome, the gut biome, those cholesterols break down into different kinds of stanols and stenols. Among them, copper stanol is a chemical that's formed really uniquely in humans, more than many other kinds of animals. And the other kinds of animals that produce stanols like this aren't found in antiquity in the region. Then as people excrete their waste, as they poo, it stays in that watershed and decays in the environment as part of the soil. That soil breaks it down again from copper stanol to epicopper stanol and other kinds of chemical compounds. But archaeologists have found that those wash down and get deposited in lake sediments. And for the first time, most recently, a team including Andrew White, who's just finished his master's thesis at UCSB. Andrew had a thesis which is also linked in the comments down below. He and a whole team of his advisors and research scientists were able to show at Cahokia in Illinois, at a lake there, that these stanols are preserved and even in a temperate environment, as opposed to in a cold Arctic environment where archaeologists have used these regularly. Now, what that means is that they've provided us a roadmap to identify a measure of the volume of human populations within a watershed going back into antiquity again. For the very first time, another independent measure of the human population size as it changes over time. Well, we've got offers of help and wonderful collaborative relationship with Michigan Tech's CHARM laboratory. My colleague Lynn Mazzolini and Mazzolini Research Group there in chemistry has been really fantastic. They've helped my students in the past. But in this particular case, we need to identify these stanols at the parts per million, very small sizes potentially. We really need, my student research team really needs about a week of time in the CHARM lab with a research scientist who can help them to go through and identify these compounds and quantify them if possible. Now, in trying to do that, a research scientist is not like a regular faculty member like myself or Dr. Mazzolini. They're paid on a per project basis, and while people like Dr. Karksari, Miriam Karksari, have been helping us out as much as they can, and she's helped my students in the past, I can't ask her just to spend a week of time helping in the laboratory. So $2,000 more will get us a week of her time, all the standards we need, all the lab equipment, instrument time, all that sort of stuff. So that's another thing we're asking for your help with, is the ability to collaborate with the CHARM lab to provide the first case study in trying to find through some methods development, some exploratory chemistry, if we can identify the presence of stanols in the lake sediments going down. Now, the interesting thing about these two threads is that what happens when we bring them together? Because when we bring these two together, we'll be able to plot human population versus presumably mining activity for the first time. And we'll be able to show patterns of human use of the Copper Country, the Keweenaw Peninsula of Isle Royal, where we're able to show where populations of people may live here and not be mining, or are the populations that are here always mining? And how does that change through time in those various peaks of activity, 8,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, whatever the various peaks are? Can we show changes and how do those changes, how do those patterns correlate with the archaeological literature of what we know is happening here in the region? It's the first time we'll be able to take these new threads of evidence and weave them together with the existing archaeological knowledge of the Copper Country. It's a very exciting opportunity. In order to make it all happen, there's a few other things in the budget you'll see below, including $500 for miscellaneous lab expenses and some more AMS dates, and then a small administrative fee from Superior Ideas to cover the administrative costs of collecting the donations. If we raise more, if everyone is really generous and we raise more than the $4,250 that we need, we will take that money And the extra money we'll use to get more AMS dates, do more stanholes testing, and get more research done in these metal isotopes and charcoal counting. I'll employ undergraduate students to work on those projects in the spirit of this arrangement. If we don't raise enough money, any money that we do get through this campaign is going to go first to the cost of the stanholes testing and Dr. Karksari's time. From that, then we'll also include the AMS dates and the other expenses as needed. I'll scrounge around to try and cover what I can at the other costs. In these studies, though, the reason this is so important for us as an institution is that it is a first study that will allow us to design collaborations with our colleagues like Dr. Steinman at the University of Minnesota at Duluth and with Dr. Papagnani, Kansas. I'll be able to draw in Michigan Tech's really robust water chemistry and environmental science researchers, my colleagues here, who typically have been studying all kinds of things about mercury and lead levels in soil, but they've been doing it just in relation to the industrial age. They take short cores in the lake, not long cores, to get the deep time history. And what we'll be able to do is bring these things together, create a joint set of proposals for research, these collaborative projects, to get everybody looking at these patterns of deep time everywhere they look, mapping the movement of humans and their activities throughout the copper country, here on the Keweenaw, Royal, out in Okanagan, the other areas of copper mining in the Lake Superior Basin. No matter what, we really appreciate your time for watching, and we hope that you'll make donations here at Superior Ideas. Feel free to contact me for any more information that you might need. Thank you.